Welcome to the fourth session of BSc Physics. The topic of discussion is atomic physics. I am Dr. K.N. Jagadish. Now, this session is a continuation of the previous discussion on Sommerfeld's atom model. The contents of this session are the expression for total energy according to the Sommerfeld model. Next is application of relativistic correction to the mass of the electron. Next comes the application of the Sommerfeld model to explain the fine structure of H-alpha line. And finally, we'll be discussing the drawbacks of the Sommerfeld atom model. Now, in the previous discussion, we had spoken about the orbits of the electron according to the Sommerfeld model. According to this model, for n equals 1, there's only one orbit which is circular in nature. For n equals 2, there are two orbits. One is a circular, the other one is elliptical. For n equals 3, we find three orbitals. Among them, one is circular and two are elliptical in nature, and so on. Now, if we try to determine the expression for total energy of the electron in an orbit as suggested by Sommerfeld, we get energy as the sum of the potential and kinetic energies. We have already evaluated the expression for potential energy as minus ZE square by 4 pi epsilon naught R. Similarly, the kinetic energy of the electron is determined by making use of the radial and transverse components of momentum along the two perpendicular directions, and it is given by half m into dr by dt whole square plus r into d theta by dt whole square. Substituting these values of potential energy and kinetic energy in the expression for total energy En, and after simplification, we arrive at the final expression as En equals minus mz square e to the power of 4 divided by 8 epsilon naught square n square h square. Now, this expression is almost similar to the one obtained by Bohr. Now, this suggests that for a given value of n, all the n number of orbits will have the same energy. Just as an example, for n equals 3, there will be one circular orbit and two elliptical orbits are possible, but all of them will have the same energies. As a result, if there is a transition from n equals 3 to n equals 2, only one line is expected, but not three lines as seen in the fine structure. Therefore, Sommerfeld's theory of elliptical orbit, in spite of having two quantum numbers, introduces no new energy levels and hence could not explain the fine structure. Now coming to the relativistic correction. In an elliptical orbit, the velocity of the electron varies, becoming very large when it passes close to the nucleus. That is, the relativistic effect is higher in orbits of greater eccentricities, and hence the orbit of higher eccentricity will have higher energy compared to orbit of lower eccentricity for a given value of n. So this effect makes the energy of the electron in a more elliptical orbit greater than that in a less elliptic orbit. Thus, for different n theta orbits with a given n have slightly different energies according to the equation En equals minus RH C by n square minus RHC alpha square divided by n cube into 1 by n theta minus 1 divided by 4n. Now in this expression, alpha is given by E square divided by 2 epsilon naught HC, which takes the value of 1 by 137, which is called as the fine structure constant. Now, on application of relativistic correction to the electron mass in an elliptic orbit shows that the major axis of the ellipse revolves around the nucleus. The orbit of electron is no longer a simple ellipse, and it is indeed not a closed curve. The major axis, in fact, revolves around the nucleus, making the orbit a complicated curve known as a rosette. And the figure of this complicated rosette is as shown. Next, we will be discussing the explanation of fine structure of H alpha line. The fine structure of H alpha line can be explained accordingly. H alpha line is emitted when the electron jumps from n equals 3 orbit to n equals 2 orbit. The n equals 3 level consists of 3 sub-levels corresponding to n theta equals 1, 2, 3, and n equals 2 level consists of 2 sub-levels corresponding to n theta equals 1, 2. Now these levels are shown in the figure. The 6 possible transitions are 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3 to 2, 1, 3, 2 to 3, 2, 3, 2 to 2, 1, 3, 1 to 2, 2, 3, 1 to 2, 1. Here we find that among the above transitions from the upper sublevels to the lower sublevels, only those jumps are allowed for which delta n theta is equal to plus or minus 1, which is the thumb rule or the selection rule. Among these transitions, 3 to 2, 2 is allowed by making use of the selection rule. 3 to 2, 1 is not allowed. Similarly, 3 to 2 to 2 is not allowed. 3 to 2, 2, 1 is allowed. 3, 1 to 2, 2 is allowed. And 3, 1 to 2, 1 is also not allowed. Thus, there are 3 possible transitions showing that the H alpha line actually consists of 3 components. Coming to the drawbacks of the Bohr and Sommerfeld atom models. The first drawback is Bohr's theory failed to explain the fine structure of spectral lines in case of hydrogen atom, and Sommerfeld's theory also could not predict the correct number of fine structure lines. It failed to give information about the relative intensities of the lines. The next failure is it failed to explain the spectra of alkali metals like sodium in finding the frequencies of radiation emitted from them. Both models fail to explain the distribution of electrons in the atoms. And finally, both the Bohr and Sommerfeld models could not explain the anomalous Zeeman effect and Stark effect. Thank you.